Good evening and welcome. Tonight, talking about Brittany Griner, the WNBA star who was recently sentenced to 9 years in prison in Russia. Now, for those of you who don't know, apparently Miss Griner had less than 1 gram of cannabis oil, allegedly for a vape, while passing through an airport in Moscow. And she has been in prison for quite some time, and now just got convicted and sentenced to 9 years in prison. So there's been a lot of back and forth about her release and what's going on, and there's a lot of things being floated out there about a prisoner swap and things like that. So some of you may have heard about this, some of you may have not heard about this, but when I started looking into it, I found, they were just throwing the names out there loosely, but when I looked into it, I noticed some of the details about some of the names being thrown around for the swap, and I found it rather interesting. So what I'm not going to get into tonight is the sentiment of should she be even imprisoned, and some people are saying, well, if the U.S. and President Biden is fighting for her to be released from prison in Russia, what about all the people here in the U.S. imprisoned for similar nonviolent, low status drug crimes? And I don't know what to say to those people. They have a point. They do have a point. So most people know my stance on drugs and the law. I mean, the law is the law. And if you don't agree with that law, move to a state or move to a country where they don't have those laws. It's very easy. But I do have to agree, as you guys know, fair and balanced here. These people have a point. They do have a point. If we're jumping through hoops and are willing to do prisoner exchanges, which I'm going to get into the prisoner exchange in a second, but we're going to do prisoner exchanges for someone who is in prison for less than 1 gram of cannabis oil. What about all the people who are in jail here in the U.S. for maybe even lesser offenses, or in some cases similar offenses? That is something understandable. Now, the other point I want to get to is the fact of what the administration is or is not doing. And of course, there are people talking about the hypocrisy of the administration. Most notably, people are talking about Kamala Harris. Now, Kamala Harris, as we all know, it's documented, it's fact, it's out there, kept certain people in prison for longer to get free labor out of them in California. This is no longer something that is, conspiracy or, spin or Russian disinformation. This is factual, and you can look it up. It is true, and she was confronted about it in a debate by Tulsi Gabbard, and she really had no response. She had no response to it. If someone threw out an allegation like that to me on national TV during a national debate, I would have had a major problem, and I would have had a major rebuttal. However, Kamala Harris apparently had none. The other thing that we talk about is when Kamala Harris was asked about whether she has ever smoked marijuana, she laughed and didn't answer the question. You guys can make your own opinion about that. A lot of people are, of course, saying that if this was a different president in the White House, Brittany Griner would be home by now. And I have to say, I don't care whether you like him or not, whether you hate him, you loved him, whatever. I don't care. And we don't get into that here. But I can say, and a lot of people on both sides are saying, that if Donald Trump was in the White House, Brittany Griner would have been home already. And I can't say I disagree with that. When I hear people say, like I said, I've heard people say that on both sides. I have friends that are on the right, and I have friends that are on the left. And I've had friends on both sides say, listen, is what it is, call it what it is. If Trump was in the White House, Griner would be home. And I don't think they're wrong. I don't think any of them are wrong about that. Okay, so now we got the 9-year sentence. And now we're talking about, and they weren't going to discuss a trade or a prisoner swap, which is crazy that we're talking about this over a cannabis oil arrest. But their laws are their laws. So it's not for us to say, oh, their laws are crazy. What? Because we have some laws here that are crazy. We all know that. And the laws here are nothing compared to some other countries. There are things here in the U.S. that you get arrested for and then you're released a few hours later, where in other countries you're executed for those same crimes. Look it up. So what we're going to do is talk about the swap that a lot of people, they're just throwing it out there, but a lot of people don't know the details of it. So I quickly wanted to cover so you guys know what the details of this swap, if it comes to fruition, unsure right now, what it entails. So they're talking about potentially Brittany Griner and another gentleman who was is a veteran, but was in Russia on business. And apparently, during his business trip, he was arrested. And he was arrested for being a spy and for espionage. His name is Paul Whelan. And he's been in jail in Moscow since December 2018. This is from he's a former Marine. And this is coming from the Detroit Free Press. He's a former Marine arrested in December 2018 in Moscow on charges of espionage. At the time, he was working as head of global security for an auto supplier. The name of that auto supplier was Borg Warner. And that's all we got. He's vehemently denied that he is a spy. And once again, we don't know. I'm just giving you what is out there. We don't know. But he's denying he's a spy. Of course, his family is denying he's a spy. Of course they would. They wouldn't know if he was. But the Russians arrested him in December 2018, right? So we're quickly approaching 4 years. And there's been, I guess, a couple of times where they were talking about his release, but it never came to fruition. So his family is now concerned that this time, once again, it's not going to come to fruition. But so he's been there, and he was there. Paul Whelan alleges that he was simply there for a friend. It's a friend's wedding. And I guess when he was attempting to leave, he was arrested. Now, once again, we don't know the details of this, so we're not going to just outright say the Russians just locked him up out of the blue while he was at a wedding, having the shrimp cocktail, and called him a spy. We don't know. Could that have happened? Yeah, but they may have found something else. Who knows? And, of course, there'd be no admittance if he was a spy. And, of course, we know they have spies over here. We have spies over there. We all know this, people. If you don't know that already, I mean, you might be in a closet somewhere. Okay, so that said, Paul Whelan is one of the people with Brittany Griner that they're hopefully looking to do a swap. Now, the funny thing is who they're looking to swap for. And that's where it gets interesting. So now we have two people for one. Okay, and we have a female basketball player, and she got a 9-year sentence. Paul Whelan got I believe, a 25-year sentence. I'm not sure, but it was something extreme along those lines. But it was a long sentence. Okay, so now we're talking about someone who they want to swap with. Okay, the person they want to swap with is a gentleman named Viktor Bout. It's spelled B-O-U-T, but pronounced like the shoe you wear on your foot, boot. So, who's Viktor Bout? Okay, so Viktor Bout was convicted in 2011, and this is coming from a New York Times article. Shortly after his conviction in 2011 on charges including conspiring to kill American citizens, the Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout relayed a defiant message through his lawyer, even though he faced the prospect of decades in prison. Mr. Bout, his lawyer said, believes this is not the end. More than a decade later, Mr. Bout, 55, may be nearing a chance for his new beginning, even though he has served less than half of his 25-year prison sentence. So, he was arrested for being an arms dealer and for trying to the allegations were conspiring to kill Americans. So I guess what they're saying is he got caught selling weapons to undercover agents, and these weapons were going to be used against American citizens or maybe American servicemen. And they say, let's see, he's one of the most notorious Russian arms dealers. And actually, his nickname was the Merchant of Death. And there was a movie with Nicolas Cage that was made loosely based on this character. Now, this is a great point, just so you guys know. Eric Holder, we all know, the former Attorney General. The Attorney General at the time, Eric Holder, called Mr. Bout one of the world's most prolific arms dealers. Mr. Bout became notorious among American intelligence officials, earning the nickname Merchant of Death as he evaded capture for years. And his exploits inspired a 2005 film, Lord of War, that starred Nicolas Cage as a character fashioned after Bout. So this is a bad guy. This is a bad dude, an arms dealer looking to sell weapons that could potentially have killed Americans. Who knows? Countless Americans. This is a serious, serious, serious offense. And he's in jail for 25 years. I may have been getting Whelan's sentence confused with his. I don't think Paul Whelan's sentence was nearly that long. Unknown, though. We'll figure that out. I'll have the team put that in. And now we're talking about trading a female basketball star in prison for less than a gram of oil, cannabis oil, for what they're calling one of the most notorious arms dealers in history. Does that make any sense? And the question a lot of people are asking, so I asked that question. Of course it doesn't make sense. Of course it doesn't make sense, right? It makes zero sense. Of course we want to bring Brittany Griner home. I believe she has a wife, a family. We want to bring her home. But the question that a lot of people are asking is this trade, this prisoner swap, something that is actually seriously being considered? This guy is a dangerous dude, and there are people who have no doubt that if released, Mr. Bout is going to go back to Russia and then just go back to the game he was in, which may potentially lead to American debts. We don't know. It may maybe lead to Ukrainian debts. Who knows at this point? So a lot of people are saying this is not an even swap at all. Even if you throw in Paul Whelan, this is not an even swap. We have two, let me not say innocent people, because Brittany Griner, she admitted she was wrong. She was in possession of an illegal substance. All right. But we have Paul Whelan, who is like working for an auto parts company at a wedding that gets scooped up and is like, hey, you're a spy. You're going to jail. Boom. Done. Been there for almost 4 years. So there very well may be he committed no crime. Brittany Griner, yeah, committed a crime. Small crime on our standards. However, does it make sense to trade them for this notorious arms dealer? It's like selling missiles. I don't know. How do you guys feel about that? So, and of course, if it was you in prison over there or me in prison over there, we all know that none of this would even be on the radar. None of this would be on the radar. This whole Brittany Griner thing is an issue because she's a celebrity. She's a WNBA star. I don't care. I mean, yeah, you maybe don't watch the WNBA, and maybe you don't even know the WNBA exists or was still around. But in that circle, yeah, she's a celebrity. Okay? And that's why this is getting so much attention. It's getting attention from other athletes. It's getting attention from other celebrities. And there's some celebrities who were anti the previous president who have also now come out to say that if the previous guy was in the White House, Brittany Griner would be home already. And I don't think they're wrong. I don't think they're wrong. But that is the current status. And there's going to be a lot of negotiations of whether this actually comes through. So now we're going to, now we have to ask the question, if Griner is released, what will happen to her when she comes back here? And we all know the answer is nothing. She's not going to come back here and go to jail for possession of. We all know that. She's not going to go to jail. She's going to be free. She's going to be a free woman. And that now begs the question of, what about people who are in jail for similar crimes here in the U.S.? Are they going to be let free? I'm not saying they should be, but I'm saying that the people who are asking that question have a valid point. Now, if you're in prison right now in the U.S. for a minor drug offense, and now you're seeing the president of the United States looking to potentially swap a world-renowned notorious arms dealer for Brittany Griner, you probably got to be sitting there saying, wait a second. Hold on a second. If she's getting... Right? Okay. So, now, the final twist is this, which is something that a lot of people on social media have been talking about, and I can't help but bring it up. And the reality is, it's just a fact. Now, I guess the other night, at the end of, or before the start of the WNBA game, Griner's team, the Phoenix Mercury, before the game started, they held a moment of silence for 42 seconds, and they had that on the floor, and everyone started chanting, "Bring her home," and very, hey, great show of support and a great show of solidarity. However, some people found it curious that these are the same players that were talking about not standing for the national anthem, kneeling for the national anthem, and in fact, you may have read, in certain situations, had decided to not even come out of the locker room for the playing of the national anthem. And now, all of a sudden, these same people are, prior to the game when the national anthem is typically played, now they're holding a moment of silence and asking America, the American national anthem, America and the president and the people of our country and the people of our government to bring Brittany Griner home. Once again, let me reiterate. We need to bring this woman home. She has a family. This was a minor drug offense. And whatever we need to do, we need to bring her home. She's been there long enough. And I haven't talked to anyone who has said, yeah, she deserves it. Yes, you got to be mindful of the laws of other countries when you're in other countries. That's incumbent upon you. Ignorance of those laws is not an excuse. However, this has gone on for quite a long time, and she does deserve to come home. However, that does not take away the fact that it was these same people, Brittany Griner included, that were making some, what many call, anti-American sentiments about the national anthem, about how racist America is, how there's inequality here in America, and all these things. Mind you, these are a group of women who get paid. Maybe the game itself for the WNBA is not paying, but many of them have sponsorships and things like that. But anyway, they're getting paid to play a child's game, and they're making a career out of it, which is great. Good for them. Some of them are highly skilled, and I commend them. Anytime you could play a game and make a career out of it, must be a good. And this country, going to university in this country, going to high school in this country, has allowed you to become a professional at that sport in this country, and in some cases, as with Brittany Griner, allow you to travel the world and play that game around the world and be paid. For you to, in one breath, say anything negative, this country is unfair, inequality, this, that, the other thing, racist. Now this same country is bending over backwards and is about to release a international arms dealer for you to come back to your family. Man. And now they're holding moment of silences at the games, at the same games that they didn't even want to walk out for the national anthem. Now they're holding a moment of silence, chanting, "Bring her back." Who are you asking to bring her back? Who are you when you say bring her back? Who are you talking to? You're talking to America. You're talking to the country that you didn't want to come out for the national anthem. You're talking to the same people. In some cases, soldiers have to go in to recover our people. We've seen that. So when you're saying you're not going to stand for the national anthem and you're not going to, come out for the national anthem, you're saying that about America. But now all of a sudden, you want America to help you bring her home. And she wants America to help bring her home. How does that make you feel? Chime in the comments below and let me know your thoughts. I have my thoughts on it. I feel like there's a bit of hypocrisy there. But then again, that seems to be going viral these days. Kind of like the thing we were wearing masks for a few years. What's more contagious? I don't know. Anyway, let me know your comments below. Make sure you sign up for our mailing list. Our mailing list gives you an update on all the stuff we're going on, 221 Be Tactical, all the new gear we're coming out with for you to keep you safer and more comfortable while going through and navigating this crazy world, all your protective needs, all your daily comfort needs, everything that you might need to get home safe and just go through the day comfortably and more secure. 221betactical.com. Check it out. Be on the mailing list. You also know about different things we're coming out with, different events, all that stuff. And, of course, click that like button, hit that bell, be subscribed to get the notifications when a new video comes out. And if you're listening on podcast, make sure you subscribe. Tune in for future episodes, and you'll be notified of future episodes. Looking forward to the comments on this one. Take care. Have a good night.